Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And on this week's podcast, the episode 2 of series 2, we're going to be talking about the newly promoted teams, specifically focusing on the players that they've signed up to now. We should date this the 16th of the 7th. So obviously more signings could happen, more departures could happen. That's very true. But there still has been quite a lot of activity amongst all three clubs. Stephen, in the last pod, you backed Burnley to have the best chance of staying up. We know it's going to be a difficult sort of road for any of those clubs. But are there certain players in that Burnley squad that have caught your eye? And before you do that, I'll give you a summation of Burnley and what they've done so far, because I have notes this time. So Burnley have paid for 9 different players. They've had 1 player on a free, and they've had 7 returnee loan players, and they've spent 56 million, and that's not including departures. It's just money out. They could have sold players and all the rest of it. But Stephen, has there been players that have caught your eye, players that you find interesting from an FPL perspective, but also from Burnley's survival perspective?
I guess from a survival perspective, Bashir Humphrey, the guy from Chelsea. Chelsea have sort of quietly become a bit like Man City, where they have a very good academy, but then just sell all their best players around. Like, obviously, Gahey came from there. And he was with them last season, I believe, on loan, if I'm remembering correctly. And they obviously had that phenomenal clean sheet record. So, could he be the new... I don't know if he takes penalties, but could he be the new Alexander for a season? Or the new Ben Mee? I guess I'm sort of going back to very old FPL days, or harking back to those. But again, if Burnley are going to... I don't think Burnley are going to change who they are. He's going to be 4.5. There's honest, and I'm going to go out there and say this. There's going to be one of the Burnley back four that's 4 million. I'm calling it right now. And I honestly think person happens to be when the price reveals comes out will be a must-have. Their attackers that they've signed, I mean, I think you've done a bit more prep than I do. It seems that, what they've done is, other than Kyle Walker, a lot of things are very young. Very much going down that strategy, as have Sunderland. But if you look at some of the stats and the returns, they don't look great. So I'd say Bashir Humphrey probably the best so far. But Barry, you've been looking into the data, pouring through the stats. I want to hear some top analysis from you, please.
Yeah. Humphrey's an interesting signing. So what I find really interesting about this, they have 3. They have 2 left backs. I believe there are 3 left backs, but one of them is a player that's returned on loan. And he was at a lower league club, so I think he's going to go back out on loan. It's unlikely to be there. I mentioned him before, but Hartman and Humphreys both been signed in this window, both for reasonable money. You know, Humphreys was signed for 14 million euros. So what's that? 12 million quid, and then Hartman signed for about 8 million pounds from Fernand. He hasn't got the greatest stats when it comes to returns. I think he had something like 50 appearances in the Dutch league and has got 4 goals, 3 assists, something like that. So not crazy. But again, you know, as I said before, wing backs are going to be really interesting, and I think Hartman could be the player to go for. And also, he's slightly older. So Humphreys is coming to 22. Hartman is 23. Got a bit more experience. I imagine Humphreys is probably going to be bloodied and slightly slower. So I think out of the 2, I'd be looking at that. I've also what's caught my eye is Marcus Edwards. It's an ex-Spurs player. Came through the academy and then fell into the wrong crowd and started doing going out partying and doing silly things. Then he's had relatively successful kind of couple of years at Sporting. So he averages about a goal or an assist every 3 games or every 4 games in Sporting. So obviously it's the Portuguese league.
And how old is he?
He's 26, so he's come on really late, but I reckon he's going to be really cheap in the game. And if you're looking at lots of people go for different strategies. Some people go for the 3-4-3. Some people go for the 3-5-2. Either way, you're going to look for a cheap midfielder and a cheap forward to supplement and rotate. And so I think Marcus Edwards could be really interesting for that because he's going to be, I reckon, 5.5. He's a right attacking mid His only problem is, unfortunately, is one of the other players they've bought is also a right mid, and they've spent quite a bit of money on him, and that's the London Chachona. I absolutely butchered that name. But anyway, he's come from Lazio, 13 million. He is their Humphreys is their most expensive signing, but he's their most expensive forward attacking signing. He younger than Marcus, but doesn't come with a crazy scoring record, particularly for Serie A. He's got 5 goals, 3 assists in 57 games. It does make his goals to assist ratio double what Marcus's is. But could that be the league? Could that be the player? I don't know. Either way, I think both of them are very interesting, and I reckon they'll be in the 5.5 bracket for FPL. If because of Lom's the higher profile move, I think he could be 6, and if he's 6, then he's not even worth talking about. But I think all 3 of those players are interesting. I think Kyle Walker's interesting. I mean, Lord knows how they're going to price him.
He's not going to start.
He can't be a 5 million. Well, no, I think he will. I think he will. And look, he's not going to be a £5 million defender playing at Burnley, is he? Let's be real. And if he was 4.5 million, you'd probably say, yeah, I have him, wouldn't you?
If he starts, I'm not 100% that he's going to start. But yeah, I mean, if he is 4.5 million, yeah, he's tempting, definitely.
So his competition is Axel Tuanzebe, who they signed from Ipswich on a free transfer.
Yes.
That's his competition at the right back position, and you would have thought that they've signed him purely for the experience, purely for the leadership in that squad. They have 2 other right backs, and they have Connor Roberts also right back as well. Connor Roberts it's probably going to be Connor Roberts to Nzebe, and Carl Walker as like the competition. The other guys have just come back from loan spells at other clubs and probably unlikely to go out again. So I think overall, I think you're right. Their defence is going to be much more attractive than their attack. And if there is a 4.0 enabling defender, look, we all remember John Ludstrom. It could happen. We never know. So yeah, I mean, outside of Burnley, we can move. You mentioned them already. Sunderland till we die, as he said. I'll give you the headlines. So 5 paid transfers, 1 free transfer, 7 returning loanee players, £83 million spent. Right, they may have a small issue in January, as will become apparent, because it's the African Cup of Nations and all of their top signings have some form of allegiance to an African nation. So January may not be the best month for Sunderland. But who's caught your eye from those transfers?
First of all, aren't they all attackers as well? I think they're going to buy the Chelsea keeper, I think I was seeing, Petrovic, which I think is I don't actually understand, because I said Patterson's their best player.
Petrovic has gone to Bournemouth.
He's gone to Bournemouth. Sorry.
25
That's
million.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine then. But yeah, Sunderland, they've always been an attacking team in the Championship, and it looks like they're gonna go down with some flair. Their back four is actually not great, as I mentioned. Luke O'Nien, the red card machine. So the fact that they've gone out and bought all these attacking players I think is very interesting. Adingra, obviously we've seen him at Brighton, only scores worldies. I had a look at some of their other players, like the Mandava guy. The problem that they seem to have done those is they've signed lots of tricky players who haven't got like a lot of great returns. So Enzo Lafie, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think he's very much a Championship player. Yeah. I think just watching some YouTube clips, Talibi looks to be the best one out of them. But Adingra, if Adingra is 5, well, he probably will be 5.5, won't he? Again, very, very tempting. Very, very tempting.
That is very tempting, and also they've been linked with Decore and a couple of the holding midfielders as well. So they could be shoring up that midfield section, knowing that they're going to be going for it up top, holding it in the mid, and then just hoping that defenders can defend like Championship players and just head the absolute nuts off it when it comes in. Like that's I think what the strategy is, looking at their team. I agree with you. Talibi is actually one of the players I've noticed. So he signed from Club Brugge for 17 million, right winger from Morocco. He scored 5 goals, 3 assists in 27 games to the Belgian league, so it's not bad. But again, it's the Belgian league. He has already got 2 players in that position. He's got the veteran Patrick Roberts, who played the majority of last season. You may remember being the ex-Burnley player. and Ian Poveda, who was at Leeds back when they were in the Prem. Poveda's less likely to be a problem.
Roberts doesn't really start for them anymore. He's getting on. I think he's the captain, maybe. No, he's the captain. But Roberts isn't going to start any games.
Well, he started 42 games last season. 42 games.
Yeah, but he's on his last legs. Like a lot of Sunderland fans would be surprised if he's starting. There's a reason why they bought all these wingers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I think it's likely that Talibi won't start the first game, but I think once he gets in there, I think he's going to be really interesting because he's quick. He's 21 years old. Like,
yeah.
He's going to be running at players with no kind of fear. Adingra, £21 million. I mean, that's a lot of money for Sunderland to spend. I think he's going to be 5.5. I think he probably, if he is 5.5, he'd probably be the best 5.5 midfielder in the game. I reckon that's what he'll be there because I know you say he pops up with wonder goals, but he also is really clinical. Like and a lot of the attack.
Oh yeah, I like
him. But who else has caught your eye though from the Sunderland lot?
No one really, to be honest with you. But as I said, what it has actually is really. I think I'm just going Patterson. I just can't get away from it because it looks like Sunderland are going to go out all out attack, and that means Patterson is going to make a lot of saves. And I have to have a Sunderland player in my team. None of the signings have convinced me for Patterson not to be the number one, so I think I'm still going to go for Patterson because he's going to be a busy boy.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a good strategy. I mean, as you know, I love to do the 4.5 keepers and rotate them. Not sure I'll be looking at Patterson or a Sunderland defender per se, but yeah, it's an interesting strategy. They have got 5 centre forwards in their squad, 2 of which have just come back from loans, so it's unlikely they'll play. The other 2 are far too young, so it looks like it would be Wilson Isidore. Is it? Yeah,
Isidore's there. Yeah.
Yeah, starting centre back, 24 years old.
I think they signed him in January last season, and he started pretty much most games.
Yeah. So if you're looking for the centre forward that's going to nut them in off those wingers, making the runs, brilliant. There's one other player I want to talk about, and again, prepare yourself, listeners, for me butchering yet another name. Ronaldo Mandava, who is a left back. Second left back we've mentioned on this podcast. He's come on a free from Atletico Madrid, right? Played 74 times for Atletico in 3 years, scored twice. He's likely to be cheap on FPL. He's 31 years old, so he's been brought in for that experience. Sunderland do have 2 other left backs at the club, so I'm unsure he'll play like every game. Like he might play two, miss one because of his age. But with that experience, the fact he's arrived as a free agent means they're probably paying him quite a nice wage because otherwise he wouldn't go. So I imagine, given the fact the wages will be high, his experience will be decent, and they'll be looking for that in that back line. I don't think a promoted club like Sunderland can afford to have those high wages sitting on the bench. The other 2 left backs worth mentioning: Dennis Kirkland, who one of my colleagues used to play football with, by the way, hilarious.
Okay.
Leo. Is it Hajide? Both of them played a similar number of games last season. Like they alternated. So I think Hajide played like 25 games and Kirkland played 30 or so. It does mean that there's more uncertainty to this pick. But you can look at it both ways. Either the manager doesn't trust either of them, and therefore he's getting an experienced player in who he wants to play and give that kind of structure to the back line, or he loves rotation. You take your pick. But I think he's an interesting player. I think he's worth looking at. I reckon he'll be coming in cheap. And at 31, playing at... And when I saw Atletico Madrid on a free, I thought he was probably, bench warmer. But no, he played 74 times in 3 years. That's not a small amount of time. But
I don't recognise the name at all, though, for some reason.
No, he's from Mozambique. So that probably doesn't help his name recognition, given the fact that they're never to World Cup and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, he seems to have been around for a long time, and he's just one of these unknown workhorses in Europe, I suppose.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're talking. Yeah. I think I'm getting the impression here that we are we're actually pretty optimistic of the teams who, let's be frank, are going to be in and around the relegation battle. But we're pretty optimistic that they're going to run it close. I mean, should we talk about the other team who's going to be in the relegation battle, who haven't actually made that many signings in comparison? They've only signed Cunha and Diego Leon.
Okay. Before you rattle Man United fans, let's cover off the last promoted club, and then we can talk about kind of unpack who we think potentially can go there. So look, you backed Burnley to stay up. I've backed Leeds because they got that extra money, the cash in the bank. But actually, the activity at Leeds, no. Exactly right. 28 million they've spent, 3 paid transfers, 1 on a free, and 4 returnee players. They've gone mainly for defenders. All 3 paid transfers were defenders, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then they've got a striker on a free. And then the rest of the lonely players are obviously players returning, so they've not spent any money there. So I want to talk about a left back. Another left back. Another left back, Stephen. I've picked one left back.
I like the Swedish guy, right? I quite like him as well.
Yeah. Gabriel Gudmundsson, right? Bought from Lille, 10 million quid. So again, probably he's the most expensive signing out of the lot. Look, we like wing backs in FPL. Centre backs, typically, I think with promoted clubs, centre backs are not the best options unless they're really cheap, because they could pop up with a goal and get a 15-pointer. But what you're really looking for are defenders that are getting forward and trying to create assists, trying to create goals, trying to score goals themselves, and are getting into dangerous areas, but still may concede clean sheets. So someone might get 4 points for an assist, but still concede 2 goals. You're happy because you got the 4 points, right? We can think of loads of left backs and right backs over the years that have done that for us. And of course, they'll be cheap, 4.5. So they'll enable us to get these more expensive players in, your Haalands, your Salahs, Saka, Palmer, whoever you want to get in, right? And when I think of wing backs at Leeds, there's only one player I think of, Stephen. One player who's a hero of FPL. Yeah. The Northern Irish left back, Stuart Dallas. Yeah. Could he be the new Stuart Dallas? I don't know. He seems big, he seems aggressive. All the things that Stuart Dallas had about it. And the only competition he has for that position is Sam Bryan, who is a classic yo-yo Championship Premier League player. So I think his X-Mins are going to be great. And he's had more goals. He's had more goals and assists in the French league, which is very weird. So yeah, I don't think there's a chance of clean sheets at Leeds, but I think there's a chance that this chap could get forward, cause some damage. What do you like about him? What have you seen of it?
I was about to say, like, he played pretty much every week at Lille in the French league. I know it's the French league, but Lille are one of the decent teams around that. I think they had one bad season. By and large, I think they're usually there or thereabouts. No, Barry, I don't have anything to add. I thought you put it very well. I have nothing more to add to that brilliant insight, I'm afraid. I agree.
This is becoming dangerous, Stephen. We are in dangerous agreement, and I'm making some sense. Next player I want to talk about is a player who they signed on a free from Wolfsburg, and that is Lucas Nambikar.
Okay.
Probably butchered that name as well. Apologies to listeners and to Lucas. So he's German. He's joined on a free, 16 goals and 3 assists in 70 Bundesliga games. There is a lot of competition in centre forwards. Right, this is the caveat. They actually have 6 centre forwards in their squad. Okay, now you look at that and you go, not sure whether who's going to start, what's going to happen there. But if we go through them, so we've got Sam Greenwood, who, if everyone remembers, was that 4.5 striker that everyone had, and he kind of came on in the 90th minute and usually maybe scored something, but sometimes was on corners for some reason. I think he's just come back from a loan spell at Preston. I think it's unlikely he's going to be starting, although he could be a last-minute change at the end. You've then got Joel Gelhardt, who's also come back on loan from Hull City. Again, he was 4.5 that season they were last up. I think he's a bench player. I don't think he starts.
Is Bamford still there?
Bamford is still there, but the last I heard, he was leaving and he was going. Right. And the real rumour I heard is he was going to Wrexham, which I think would be killer. That'd be great. Okay. So Lucas's biggest threat up top is Joel Pirot, who they got from Swansea, and he scored 19 goals last season. So he was their number one up top guy. But he does seem like a very brutalist player, shall we say, Stephen. Not the one who's going to take a touch, take it down, and kind of try and make something out of nothing. So I think, if they're going to look for someone a bit more dynamic, he could get a start over Joel, or even play next to him. The Peter Crouch, gazelle and water buffalo, or whatever he used to say. That that one big guy is going to really make it difficult for the defenders, and then the gazelle to run off the back of him. They do have one other centre forward called Matteo Joseph, who's played 59 games and scored 4 goals. So there's no way he's playing, and he's 21, so he's young. So I think Lucas looks like a good shout. I would be scared about his ex-mins, but the fact he's arrived on a free again. You've got to think about when players sign on a free. That means their wages generally will be quite nice. And newly promoted clubs cannot afford to have their wages on the bench. They just can't. It's a waste of time, waste of energy. But yeah, any of those centre forwards you found interesting? Do you find Lucas interesting? Would he be in his team? What sort of price do you reckon it'll be? 5.5 maybe? 6
It'll probably be 5.5. It's very hard to be a 5 or a 4.5 unless you're not guaranteed to start, basically. No, I mean, again, I'm sort of with you. I think Leeds is... I think maybe I'm being a bit unfair to these, but if you compare it to Burnley and Sunderland, they've been a bit disappointing. I think if they do make a few more transfers, though, the interesting thing is that this is the first time in a long time where you can say all 3 promoted teams are going to try. And if I'm being completely honest, there's a few factors. One, Sunderland and Leeds are obviously big clubs, big budgets and stuff like that. They both have generous owners. Burnley obviously have quite rich owners. There's all that goes into it. But I also think fundamentally, they think they have a good chance. And let's be frank, who are they looking at? Again, we've mentioned Brentford. I've mentioned Wolves. Are they also looking at the team that finished 16th last season? I mean, maybe. I mean...
Stephen... Before we give it away, I'm going to mention one other player from Leeds, and I think we should go on to this topic because I think it's really interesting. Actually, it does seem like they're going to go for it, right? So the last player I was going to mention is Jack Harrison, who returns from a loan season at Everton. He scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
But look, I think he's going to suit Leeds' attacking style. He'll be 5.5. When he was there, he was a decent option. Popped up with a goal or an assist every 4 or 5 games. But he does have quite a bit of competition on that side. Dan James and Nonto both play on the right. There's nothing to say he can't play on the left, but that's obviously not his natural position. If it's not his natural position, is he going to be the most fluent and best player there is? I'm not sure. So I think he's worth looking at. It's 5.5. Fine.
I'm probably going to disagree with you there. He is just Szoboszlai. He just has a nice haircut and looks relatively attractive, and therefore you think he's a decent player. His return rate is unacceptable. 4 goals at 63 at Everton. He played 120 games for Leeds on loan and got 18 goals. He then went there permanently. He had 200 games there basically and got 31 goals. That is, and they were in the Championship for a lot of that as well. So that is that is not good. Good looking boy, but like Szoboszlai, got the looks but haven't got the touch. Unfortunately, the Spice Girls would not approve of either of those players.
I think that's a bit harsh on Szoboszlai, but I think what I'm taking from this, Stephen, is you have a crush on Jack Harrison, and that's fine.
I do.
No judgment here. We are this podcast is an open and accepting podcast, so we're happy with that. But yeah, let's talk about it. It does seem to me, Leeds a bit disappointing in terms of what they've spent, but long way to go so far until the season is. In fact, it is a month till the season kicks off, Stephen. So I'm getting very excited. I'm sure we're going to be throwing a booking into a pub somewhere to go watch the first game. But it does seem like all the clubs are going for it. And it doesn't seem like they're going for it in an irresponsible way. If I cast my mind back to that Fulham team that got promoted and spent 100 million net, bought in, Schürrle and all these other players, and then it just didn't work for them because it didn't gel, because it was
QPR back in the day and those sorts of things,
Yeah, exactly. But it seems to me that they're signing players in good positions where they need to strengthen, players that are going to really bring something to the table. It doesn't change my opinion. I think Leeds are the most likely to stay up. I assume it doesn't change your opinion that Burnley are most likely to stay up. But what the biggest surprise is, Sunderland, Look, they've probably got the hardest job of the lot, but the signings do look good. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So,
but as I said, why are all three of them doing it? Again, they have money and owners. I'm sorry, but so it was the last season. The last 2 seasons, right? When's the last time a promoted team stayed up? Was it Brentford 3 seasons ago? Just trying to think.
That's a very good question, Steve. Whilst you rant about Man United, I'm going to...
yeah. But, again, I mean, someone actually put on Twitter quite a good comment, which is that Brentford's new kit just looks very relegation-y as well. It just looks like it looks like the Southampton relegation kit from the 90s 2000s era, and it does honestly look at it. It looks like a kit ready to get relegated. And then there's Wolves as well, who obviously sold their best player. And I don't know. Have Wolves done anything? Maybe they have. I can check that now. Nope. Well, they signed Larson permanently, and then somebody else from Celta Vigo. But they lost Ait-Nouri as well, of course. Like, none of that is good.
It'd be Notts Forest. Notts Forest, the last team.
Of course. Now that's actually quite a good example because they really went for it. But anyway, I think they're looking at the Premier League bottom or the areas, and they're thinking like there are teams here who are really, really going to struggle. And are Man U going to be better this season? They've signed Cunha, who's a flair player. Let's be frank. I think he would do very well in most teams, but I don't think Man U is one of them. The whole point of Amorim is that he's a wing-back manager. They haven't signed any wing-backs. They are taking 26 years to sign Mbembo. It'll happen. They'll just pay an astronomical amount of money. I think all 3 promoted teams are looking at the Premier League accurately and going, we don't, because you need to obviously be better than, you need to be, you need to be the 4th least worst. I think they're looking at that and going, there's actually quite a few teams that we can beat. And I think Man U is going to be there. I mean, I don't think they're going to win, but I think Man U are going to be in another season.
I love your analysis of Man United. It definitely warms the cockles of my heart. But I agree with you. They are unlikely to go down, but it would be funny if it happened. But we said in the last podcast, the biggest challenge for the newly promoted clubs is not about being the best and competing at that level. It's the fact that none of the other teams really, I think, will fade away. I think Wolves, West Ham... I don't subscribe to Brentford. I'm sorry, I can't. I just think there's no way a club that well run and that well managed has signed a complete unknown to manage that team unless they saw something in him that was really special. So I think Brentford will be fine. I do worry about Bournemouth. We've said it before. I do worry about them because
they've kept their manager.
They've kept for now. You never know, and also you never know what happens midway through the season. They've kept Cliver, but will he be the same? So there's a couple of teams that I would sort of earmark as being ones that potentially could get into trouble, but I don't think they would get into enough trouble that would cause them to be in a serious relegation battle. Lord knows what it's going to be like, but I think kind of. What we wanted to highlight within this pod is that there are some players in those teams. Don't just disregard them, right? Don't just go, they're relegated teams, don't need to worry about them. Like, it's not the way to do it. So, what I do when I'm building a team, and we'll do a podcast on building the team sort of later on. What I do is I build from the back, right? I usually go for 2 4.5 keepers, and then I get maybe 1 expensive defender, and then fill it around with a couple of 4.5s, maybe a 5 and 1 4. And the reason for doing that is because if my defence combined is relatively cheap, then I can pour loads of money into the midfielders and the attackers. And in that sort of frame of building a team, you need to have defenders that are going to score you points. Not just clean sheets, because clean sheets are look, you can get really unlucky. You could have your centre-back and your right-back play the best game they've ever played in their life, worthy of a Puskas award, but then they concede a goal in the 90th minute from a deflection, and it means nothing. In FPL land, what you want is goals and assists, and the best players to do that, the best returns are going to be from cheap defenders and midfielders, because that's where your points per million are really going to skyrocket. So my advice is when the game goes live, and we've been, come on FPL Towers, what are you doing? It can't be that hard. When the game goes live, really look at those teams. Have a look at how those players are priced. I guarantee you, because FPL will not have the time to go through each player, go through each kind of signing and all the rest of it, and look at their stats. I guarantee you there'll be a couple of bargains in there. that will be set and forgets for the season. You got to remember Morgan Rogers. What was he? 5.5 beginning of last season. 5.5.
Maybe even 5.
Yeah, and he set the league alight, and he's probably going to be 8 million this year. And they're talking about other teams going and buying for him. So that's the lesson I think what we're trying to get across in this pod. And also think a bit wackily. Think of players that you've never heard of. Go, oh, that'd be fun to own him. Why not? So yeah, that's the kind of analysis. But I mean, Stephen, really, do you think any team is going to be in that relegation battle, and any of those players are going to be in your and a separate question? Any of the players that we've mentioned could be in your squads.
I will have a Sunderland player. I'm just committed to that. Again, I'm leaning towards Patterson. Sunderland also have one of the best starts. Home at West Ham, then away to Burnley, Palace, who don't start the season. Yeah. So they've got a good start. So my punt is definitely going to be a Sunderland player, and leaning towards a Dinger for obvious reasons. I would need to see some of the pricing. I know we are a bit early here because none of the pricing has come out. But if you're going to Sunderland, just because of the really easy start, I think they have the easiest start on paper, I believe, from memory. They're going to be one that I will. And again, I have to have a Sunderland player. I just have to. So that will very much be happening.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably enough for this week. We're going to try and do another pod this month, but you're sodding off for a stag do and for various other activities. So we'll try and put it around your busy schedule, Stephen. Please don't die on that stag do.
I promise nothing.
We very much. You promise nothing. Fantastic. But yeah, look, let us know what you think, guys, in the comments. Are there any of the cheap players that we haven't mentioned that potentially we should be looking at, or those that we have that would be interesting for you? After the price prediction we did last week, we did put up a series of it in a couple of posts on the Instagram page. Go have a look. We got a lot of interest and responses to the Chris Wood prediction, Stephen. Seeing as Forest team seems to be getting picked apart if they could learn how transfer rules work. But, it seems hilarious. Stephen, we don't have 20 minutes for me to rant about it. It's honestly that man. Okay, I'll stop. Just have a look at the Instagram page. I shared a very funny meme. That's what I'd say. But no, we did put some content up there, some clips, and also some price predictions. Again, go have a look, see what you think. It'd be great to get your thoughts and feedback on it. So yeah, and also please give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen. YouTube, Instagram. We're still on X as well, despite it being a weird and wonderful place sometimes. But yeah, Stephen, anything else before we wrap up for this week?
No, just great analysis, Barry, and I sort of hope but don't hope for more of it.
Okay, I'll try to keep it up. But yes, thank you very much. We've been Yellow Flag FPL. Thanks to our podcast producer, Rita, and all of you listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.